Hello, my fellow shipmates! LuckyMears20 here, and welcome back! Today we are in AZUR lane, and we are going to take a look new members that has been released or going to be released in 2023 Halloween in AZUR lane, and it's the faction called Tempesta. What is the Tempesta? I don't know, because this video was made before the Tempesta fully faction is going to be released, one day away before the update. But we are going to take a sneak peek, a small detail, just a fraction detail of the ships that's going to be released to the Tempesta in AZUR lane, and going to be the history of their ship, and their playstyle is something like I have no memories of yet. How does it work? But what is the Tempesta? It seems to be like a sailing frigate from 1720s or 16s, 90s. Sailing ships, the galleons, frigates, sloops, the old-style sailing ships, and the golden age of piracy. However, in AZUR lane, in my memory, the ships that I now know, Royal Fortune and Vida, are the full-fledged pirate ships, in my knowledge. However, I have to do some more research about these ships, but this video is only meant to be a sneak peek, not full detail dive into the ship's history, because there is 6 members in the Tempesta. It is going to be a long video if we are going to take a full-fledged look to each ship history. So I'm going to make this as short as possible, but easy to understand as possible. Same for the man who speaks Finnish but badly English, so try to bear with me, because this is going to be really rough waves to understand what I'm trying to go through here. So hold the ropes, manage the sails, and let's go to the first member of the Tempesta member, and probably, I don't know, the one who built the faction or the leader of the faction. I have no idea. She is too free spirit to be a leader, knowing the Royal Fortune after I outed her in AZUR lane, and she is the free spirit pirate. And what is a Royal Fortune in AZUR lane? Well, in a game mechanic, she is something like a submarine slot gameplay. But before we go to that, I want to, just as I told you, the history first. You see, I did some 2 days research from Wikipedia, because it was the shortest way possible to get some kind of knowledge what is a Royal Fortune. And to my surprise, Royal Fortune has a 2 years of ship forms, so to say. So it's not just a one ship that holds the Royal Fortune. There was 4 ships bearing the name of Royal Fortune, captained by a tough man with the name Bartholomew Roberts, with the nickname Black Bart. And he had some interesting career in the 2 years of the Black Bart. But I am not going to take full dive in of the man's history and the Royal Fortune, because it is immensely, in my point of view, complicating, because the Royal Fortune was given to a good fortune, which gives the not clear insight, but looking closely to the history of the ship of the Black Bart. He had given the name to the 4 ships while he had to change the ship, or he just wanted to update the name. Like example, the Good Fortune was the first ship that got the Royal Fortune name. And after 4 times, the Royal Fortune finally was given to the Onslow. I have no idea what that ship type is, or the name, because it gives no information to me in a short run. So this is all I can manage. But all that, the Royal Fortune, with the 4 ships holding the name, and given the dialogues the Royal Fortune in Azur Lane is talking about, it's something like 2 years of pirate career in the belt. And while she speaks about pirate code, actually the Black Bart, Bartholomew Roberts, with her crew, after they lost a ship with 40,000 gold in the board by the one pirate, I forgot the name, while they were somewhere else with the 8 days. So they made the pirate code to prevent something like this to happening, in my opinion. But I might be wrong. But I think the pirate code between the crew and the ship is actually a good choice to have, if you want to avoid some unnecessary accidents or unexpected thievery from your own crew. So of course the Royal Fortune here also mentions about the codes, but in a naval way. Well, if I remember correctly, her final fate was something like she lost the main mast, and the pirates signaled for quarter. I have no idea what that means, but that happened after 2 hours, when the Black Bart died in one of the cannon shells from the pursuer that actually now in the end managed to get her. But if I remember, in the fast run, she was taken to the Great Britain, but she sank when the storm hit to the port, and she was gone. That's all I can remember for now. But if you know more about the Royal Fortune history under the Bart Roberts command, let me know in the comments down below. Now, what in the game, it's in the Halloween of 2023, the game mechanics is going to be changing a little bit, because from submarine slot you can now add a sailing frigate to the main fleet or vanguard fleet. But I need to test that once I have got all the ships and I have learned more about this game mechanic that is going to be released. Now that we have going through the Royal Fortune, I guess it's now fair share to go to the next ship. Yeah, and now the next ship we are going to take a look. It's the previous England owning ship, a merchant ship, became a pirate ship after it failed to find any pirates in the 1690s and 1698, so to say. So, what I can manage to find about the ship, it is a long voyage, but also not the lucky one, in my opinion. Looking the history in this now in a short notice. This previous merchant ship called as Adventure, but now is a pirate ship. It was called Adventure Galley. And what I can say about the Adventure Galley? Well, the design itself is interesting. I like the bow design of the ship. It actually holds how the ship could actually look like. The artists did a really good job. However, the history of the ship started somewhere in 1695, followed by William Kidd, Scottish man, what I can now read in the fast notice. But her journey started from April 1696, and it kinda ended somewhere April 1698. After she traveled 1,000 miles across the Atlantic and Indian Oceans just to search pirate ships, but failed. Instead, Kidd turned himself to the piracy. He was in desperation of having any prize to hold. So Adventure Galley succeeded capturing just 2 vessels from somewhere in India and broke them somewhere in Madagascar. But yet again, 1698, the ship's hull had become so rotten and leaky that she was no longer seaworthy. So the crew itself had nothing left to do but to strip off anything movable and sunk off the northeastern coast of Madagascar. And the ship's remain has not yet been found, because the ship was burned while she was abandoned. Everything was taken off from him. But what I can say about Adventure Galley, she is kinda hybrid ship, according to the information in the Wikipedia, is that combined power of square-rigged sails with oars to give her maneuverability in both windy and calm conditions. What I can remember about the wind power and the oar power, that is really clever combination for the ship, because it really gives the advantage in any way, shape or form. However, the Adventure Galley also was armed with 34 light cannons. I have no idea what those cannons are, because 16 and 1700s were kinda cannons of their own, so I am not fully known how they work in a caliber size, but that's not important right now. But anyway, she was, in my opinion, unlucky one, but also really interesting history to know about the adventure galley. From merchant ship to a pirate ship, well, that's a well-known road for any ship in that timeline. Well, actually, from privateer ship to a pirate ship, like Blackbeard history and all those pirate. What I can say about Adventure Galley? Well, she sailed a long distances just to find targets while being a privateer, but that was not very successful. And after becoming a pirate ship, she kinda successfully got just 2 ships, but the hull was so in bad shape that she had to be abandoned. Somewhere in Madagascar. Yeah. But overall, in Azur Lane, I say the design, I like it. The red color in my taste, I like it. It's like a final fate of the ship. It really speaks that way. And that giant cross of the back, it gives me, funny enough, a Great Britain kind of idea, because she was a merchant ship to a privateer ship and then to the pirate ship. But how she is going to work in Azur Lane, I have no idea, but I am looking forward when she's going to be released in the Halloween event. And something called the Fountain of Youth. What Pirates of the Caribbean based story is this? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, this is all I can muster from Adventure Galley. I'm sorry for my bad work about doing the best way possible to find any kind of history this ship holds. But here we are. The deed is done. Now, shall we go to the next ship? And also, I like the design. That's all I can say. The next ship is a rather more interesting one, because it was late in 1715s and 1716s from London, Great Britain. She was a passenger, cargo and slave ship. However, in her maiden voyage from all things, she was captured by pirate captain named Samuel Black Sam Bellamy, beginning a new role in a golden age of piracy. And that ship is Waidah Galley. Well, she had probably, like always, well, not always, but, well, how could I say this? Her art design first. Well, tentacles, Blue, interesting choice. Cannons, they are good. You can see a ship behind there. That's a really great detail and choice. You can see gold in chest. That is true, because Vaidaf treasures was found later, somewhere in 1980s, in a shore. Sorry, that was my notification. Sorry about that. That was unexpected. However, the slave ship, became a pirate ship, and she had a quite amount of treasures aboard while she was captured in her maiden voyage. She started her voyage somewhere in London. Then she went the Vaida region, the Kingdom of Vaida, and West Africa, where she was completing her businesses to exchange, to carrying stuff. I don't know how should I explain her history, because this is all in a short notice. So this, as I warned you at the start, this is gonna be a real rubbish to go all the ships through like this. So I'm going to make them as short as possible, because there are many of them. But her design, again, it kind of tells you that she started her voyage a young, and unluckily a storm hit the ship and smashed her to the beach while she was a pirate ship. And the storm destroyed the ship completely, capsizing her, losing a mast, and losing all the cargo all the same. Is really unlucky one for a young ship like that. But overall her design itself in game, and the history, the model of Vaida galley itself too, is really a fascinating one. Well, she started her pirate days in the late February 1770s, and it was commanded by Black Sam himself. She was really unlucky one, because she did capture, if I recall, other ships in the process. Also, she was armed more cannons later on, because if I read this correctly, the ship design was something like, from the start, 18 6-pound cannons, but in war times it could be increased total 28 cannons on the ship, which gives me the point of view of flexibility of the ship, like cargo ship, passenger ship, and a slave ship, and possibly a warship if the war struck. Very flexible ship. 3-masted ship, by the way. And beautiful design, by the way, too. So, the pirate ship again. Where should I start? At the time of White Galley's capture, Bellamy was in possession of 2 vessels, the 26-gun galleon Sultana and the converted 10-gun sloop Marianne, captained by Bellamy's friend and investors William Palsgrave and all that. After 3 days' chase, Prince surrendered. That was the Lawrence Prince. 3 days' chase, surrender his ship near the Bahamas with only desultory exchange of cannon fire. And after that, Bellamy took the White Galley as his new flagship. And what can I say more? White Galley was then fitted with 10 additional cannons by its new captain. Little bit modification has been done so that she was not top heavy. Sorry. Bellamy and his crew sailed the Carolinas and headed north along the eastern coastline. American colonized, aiming the central coastline of mine, looting or capturing additional vessels of the way. White Galley was caught up in storm, which heavily damaged it and broke one of its masts. Patch up and repairs were effected onto the reach of waters near Tanducknet Sound, where greater repairs were effected, possibly at Block in Line or Rhode Island. And some point during his possession of White Galley, Bellamy added another 30 plus cannon below decks, possibly at ballast. Ooh, this is really rough. And this really is I'm not gonna read all this history, but overall the history of Vida is interesting. But her final destination was somewhere near Cape Cod, 12 feet Massachusetts, according to Day. Weather turned into violent nor'easter. A storm with a gale force winds out the east and northeast. That's a complaint. Which forced the vessel dangerously close into the breaking waves along the shoals of Cape Cod. The ship was eventually driven aground at midnight. She hit a sandbar bow first. And 5 meters of water, about, I don't know, from shore, 152 meters, pummeled by 110 kilometer wind. That is strong wind. And 9 to 12 meter waves. The mainmast snapped, pulling the ship into about 9 meters of water, where she violently capsized, sending over 4.5 short tons of silver and gold, more than 60 cannons, and 144 people into the ocean floor. The 16 plus cannon on board ripped through the overturned decks of the ship and quickly broke her apart, scattering parts of the ship and thousands of objects went everywhere over 6.4 kilometers length of coast. This is... I need to do some better detailing of this ship, because these are interesting, but because there are so many of these videos, so I need to try this as short as possible. However, I hope she is going to work well in the game, although she is elite. And her design is interesting, but I'm looking forward to see her dialogues connecting to the from passenger ship, from the pirate ship and the storm. How she's going to react from those dialogues, knowing her final destination and short career of all that. Well, this was a awkward way to go for the history of Vidaf. However, she was well designed from a ship like this. I see in the here on the other screen. But I guess it's now for time to go to the next ship. And hopefully that goes a little bit better explaining stuff than compared to this one. Okay, I guess things were going to be a little bit more difficult than I anticipated, because these ships are nothing more but they're full of mysteries and really intense amount of details of history that I have to bring them under 10-minute review. I hope it's shorter. But oh, this next ship is going to be a real headache to explain what she is. And she is not a pirate ship to begin with, because she was built in 80s and 60s and deliberately wrecked off the coast of Haiti in 1885. So she is not equipped with cannons, but I don't know, maybe AZUR had to do some a little bit changes to her art, but I'm looking forward to how this mystery ship is going to be working in AZUR, and that ship is none other than the ghost ship itself from history, and still mysterious today because we have no idea what happened to its crew or the captain, despite all the alcohol still on board, and that is Marie Celeste. And boy, that I don't know where to start, because that short sentence actually tells everything how mysterious she is. But all I can say, sailing plan was to be a brigantine. She was a two-mast ship, and well, Marie Celeste, look in her design, it actually speaks mysterious and full of secrets. And there are some barrels also in the art, because it's some kind of reference how she lost all the crew members and the captain with the wife with the kid, if I recall correctly, without looking this long text of speculations and the history of the ship in the Wikipedia. And I like the jacket of the character. I want to start with that. I like the jacket design. And that mysterious beast named by Argo in the introduction, in the other platforms. I don't know why. But one thing short, she had no cannons on board. Because those were 16 and 17 thing, while pirates were a thing. But I don't know where they still a thing in the 80s, hundreds, and the end. Well, some and the late of 1800s. I don't know whether cannons still a thing, but she had no cannons. Just a cargo full of alcohol. And there are some speculations that the fumes of the alcohol made crew seeing the visions. Well, I don't know how much drink she had on board, but it has to be enough to release the huge amount of fumes to see things. But I don't know, is that true? Because the ship is full of mysteries itself, so I'm gonna ignore all that. But overall, selling is C, HP is B, and evasion is C. Very well understanding of the ship from the ending of 1800s. I don't know what to say about this ship, but oh boy, if you want to know about Mary Celeste, I want to raise my hat, bow to you, and pointing you to the history books. Because I am not gonna tell anything about this ship. Just to saying that the crew vanished. All the people on the ship vanished. Just maybe 2 barrels of alcohol gone from all the cargo it had. And the speculations, how they all disappeared. One of the mysteries still holding today. But back to the design. It really speaks about the blue. Like the Vidav way. I like the jacket, I like the coat. Clothing is there. Still, the shipwreck is behind. And the barrel is there. And the barrel is over there too. Really small amount on the right. Like a missing cargo of the alcohol she had on board. And that 2 horns. Are those 2 horns? Huh. And the long ears. Well, this is interesting. I want to see more about this once I got her after she's been released. Super rare. No wonder. But this is all I can say about Mary Celeste. A ship, a full-fledged ghost ship, like she says. And I am going to looking forward to the next ship. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit more easier to explain than the other ones. This is gonna be fun. Well, this ship is a full-fledged warship galleon in a short history career. It is something like you were built, you were given a crew, they were trained for you. Go to the seas and face the enemy and see will you come back. Well, the next ship is built in 5080s and she was built as Portuguese Navy galleon, then became a flagship, well, part of the Armada of Spanish fleet, and that ship is named, I'm gonna fail pronouncing the name, I'm sorry about that. So, Martinho, or translating name San Martin. And oh boy, she is a galleon, alright. In 5080s, when the Kingdom of Portugal came under the rule of the King Philip II of Spain, Philip I of Portugal, in 5080s the Portuguese had just finished building a large galleon named Sarmantino. She was known by Castilians as San Martin at the time of forming the Spanish Armada. San Martinho was found to be the best of the fleet and was chosen as the flagship of the Armada Commander-in-Chief Duke of Medina Sidonia. Sao Martinho had overall length of about 180 feet with a beam of about 40 feet. She carried 48 heavy guns on 2 enclosed gun decks, plus multiple smaller weapons. According to a painting by National Maritime Museum, Sao Martinho had 3 masts, 2 square-rigged masts and Latin mizzen mast. She was shown with a stern gallery and with a long bulkhead characteristic of galleon. The foremast was set forward of the forecastle. Well, models around the internet about this ship is rather interesting ones, because I remember in my young days in a library about the sailing ships, there was some ships regarding to the galleon, pointing to be a galleon, but I vaguely remember the picture of the ship, but well, internet is full of the galleon pictures, so Sao Martino is also part of that. Saint Martin is also part of the picture collection around the world, the internet, so to say. Sao Martino and crew played a crucial role in defending the Armada through the English Channel. An example was the fighting of July 31st of August 2, 5088 from the English coast of Calais, such as the rescue ordered by Medina Sidonia as a galleon Zoyo. I don't know how to pronounce the A with the wave above it. Commanded by Juan Martins de Recalde, that after repairs and trying to join the formation was intercepted and faced alone 11 English galleons and race galleons. I hope I pronounced that right. No, 12? In the process, the Sao Martino fought, virtually isolated, for 1 hour 15 English galleons. Howard, however, opted to keep some distance, preventing the further approach and giving up the fight in duels of gunfire from both sides. Saint Martin had suffered already heavy damage in the battle Gravelines in July 1588, when a group of English ships led by Sir Francis Drake in revenge bore down upon her. With the assistance of the galleon San Mateus, she escaped the attack and led the Armada back to Spain through a ferocious storm, where she had to be towed into Port of Santander. Because of a storm, Saint Martin had to take refuge at Laredo, where Medina Sidonia found the galleys Napolitana and other ships in harbor. The ship was full of sick crew and was itself in sad condition. And that's all I could find about this ship from Wikipedia. Now look in her design. Spanish. Portuguese Navy galleon. There is so much design references about her design. And to take a note, there is no tentacles. Holy ship! A royal ship. Light flickering cannons on the sides. 2 wings from all things. Well, Ironblood Hindenburg is a demonic girl with the demon wings, and I don't mind about that. Same thing goes with the Z-24 with the demonic wings. And what else? It's something like really like is in my mind is in peace while I watch this. I don't know why or how, but it's like you are watching something like holy. Like, I don't know how to pronounce it, because like church related? I don't know. This is really new way. This is a really new thing, and I like this. I like this actually. How this works. And in history way, I say this is very clever to go with that route. And did we have Spanish ships? Well, Portuguese Navy galleon. Portuguese. This is... I'm fascinated by this ship. I like the design. 4 wings. Very light clothing. The big red thing above the head. Is that a spear in her hand? Is that a freaking spear? Okay. Best way to reach Skikigan, right? Best way to reach the commander if he's being not well behaving. One way to punish the bad souls. Sorry about that. But for all, she had war career as a ship. And what is her final fate? I have no idea, but she is a galleon. 48 cannons, all accounted. If I recall. Not bad amount for a galleon. Of course, there are those with a lot more, but come on. At least her selling is A stat compared to the others. But I'm gonna go now for the next ship, and she is going to be the last ship we are going to go through, and I can be in peace while this is being released. I'm looking forward to these ships. Well, this is the last ship from all the ones that has been released. This ship acted as a privateer ship. She challenged a Spanish ship, galleon if I recall, and she was based on Spanish built Nao Victoria, the first ship to circumnavigate the world, and is described as the mid-16th century warship during transition from garrett of the galleon. She was armed with 22 guns, and the legend and the history says the ship challenged and captured the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de la Concepción, and I have no idea what that means. But it was 120-ton Spanish galleon that sailed the Peru-Panamerican route during the 16th century. And this is supposed to be the first museum ship ordered by Queen Elizabeth I. If I recall, yes, it is, according to the information here. And the ship to reach this kind of status, that the Queen Elizabeth himself, the first, actually boards the ship that has sailed immense amount of miles, and that is a Golden Hind. And yes, the art itself, just looking at the art, I like it. The tentacles are holding something interesting there. Also holding a treasure chest. She is based by Spanish design, but in England. Way built, but before she became Golden Hind, if I can find, oh yes, her first name was Pelican. Question marks from my mind, what is that? But anyway, her captain, Francis Drake, between 5077 and 5080s. She was originally known as Pelican, but Drake renamed her mid-voyage in 5078 in honor of his patron Sir Christopher Hutton, whose crest was Golden Hind, a female red deer. Well, the history is something like Queen Elizabeth I partly sponsored Sir Francis Drake as the leader of an expedition intended to pass around South America through the Strait of Magellan to explore the coast that lay beyond. Well, that's a short notice. I'm gonna skip this one part that mentions about Queen's support was advantageous. Drake had officially approved himself, and the Queen had caused the maximum damage to Spaniards. This eventually culminated into Anglo-Spanish War. Before setting sail, Drake met the Queen face to face for the first time, and she said to him, "We would gladly be revenged on the King of Spain for diverse injuries that we have received." Interesting note. Drake, however, acted as a privateer, with unofficial support from Elizabeth. And what else I can say? 22 guns. She faced the Spanish galleon. Weighed about during transition carried the galleon and weighed about 120 tons. Her first name flagship of Pelican, renamed Golden Hind. And well, after she won the Spanish galleon, this galleon had the largest treasure captured to that date, over 360,000 pesos, and equivalent to around, is that pounds? 418 million pounds in 2070s. The treasure took 6 days to transship and included 26 tons of silver, half of a ton of gold, porcelain, jewelry, coins, and jewels. On 26 September 1580s, Francis Drake sailed his ship into Plymouth Harbor with 56 of the original crew of the 80 left aboard. The ship was unloaded to Rematon Castle nearby, supervised by the Queen's Guards. The final treasure also included 6 tons of clothes from the spies in Iceland at the time worth their weight in gold. Elizabeth herself went aboard Golden Hind, which was then permanently at Deptford to the south bank of the Thames, where she had requested it be placed on permanent display as the first museum ship. Well, the Pelican was disintegrated and broken up in late 1600s. 2 replicas exist. Oh, wow. What about the design? Yes, you can see the galleon design behind there. I don't know about the wheel, but it is fascinating to have there. And where she is sitting, yes, she is holding the cannons. Yes, that is clever. The design itself, the giant horn, deer horn, that is actually a clever, because Golden Hind is a female red deer, and it is interesting to add that to her. The clothing is also fascinating, very light design, also black. Same, I don't know, is this the same color as the ship is colored in real life, but the picture here is also a black. This is kind of dark blue, and I like it. The treasures really the treasure chest tells the story how she got the gold from that ship she attacked, and 50s aura, or the atmosphere of the 50s or 60s in this design is interesting. The shelling is big. Well, it's there. HP is C. Well, no wonder. Her length was 31 meters, and that is short. Well, by that aside, she is fascinating. That's all I can say. Very black. Very black. And also a deer horn there. Yes. But that's all I can say. We have been reached the final ship, and that was Golden Hint from Tempesta. Now, how they are going to work in AZUR lane that requires AA stats like submarines. Well, the ending credit, I guess it's now finally time for go that. Well, not the ending credit, but ending words. What I think about these ships? I say they are interesting pick. But the history to go through, this is 1 hour video, so I am really happy that you managed to get this far. But if you want to know more about these ships, you need to go diving by yourself, their back history itself, because it's really long and hard to explain from my standards. But the designs are good. And AZUR lane, the Joestar developers, Manjus, are also doing the great job in that regard. Now, how they are going to work? Well, they are probably suffering from planes, that's all I can say. In speculation way, but I am yet to learn how they are going to be work. And what else? Sailing frigates. And who is the leader of the faction? Is it a same state like the Eagle Union? No freaking flagship to present from that faction itself. From the nation that doesn't have a flagship like other factions did. Example, Royal Navy is the Queen Elizabeth. I don't know, is it Hove or I don't know how many ships took the flagship role. Bismarck took the flagship role. Vittorio Veneto took the flagship role. Nagato, Musashi, Yamato took the flagship role. Perhaps Tempesta, as the Royal Fortune did mention, they have a code. So perhaps they don't need a leader, but it almost sounds like equality as long as they follow the code. If they do some mistakes, they will be punished according to the pirate codes. But I have no idea what codes they have. But I am looking forward to 2024 to know more about Tempesta and their codes. What they are. That was my notification. Sorry about that. I am going to look forward how this lore is moving. Well, I Well, Royal Fortune was in a timeline lore released somewhere in a peacetime. But how I don't know about the rest. Will they appear in a wartime or a peacetime? Because this is going to be a Halloween event after all. But I am going to look forward how they work. And interested too, because my childhood had pirate toys, Lego pirates, and the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Pirates of the Caribbean online game, now Sea of Thieves. I like this, where this is. I'm looking forward. This is really my category. My category. But I'm gonna end this right here. This is now stupidly long. Thank you so much for watching, and we are going to meet in the next video. Now you can raise the sails, anchor to port, go to the tavern, and relax from this sea-sickening voyage of fast research of the ship's history of Tempesta. Now I wish you all good night. Take care. And see you all in the next video. LuckyMeS205, and that is see you around.